right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to Advisory. Yesterday in Advisory, we had a circle discussion about two questions. What do you want to be when you grow up? And who do you want to be when you grow up? Now, we get this question all the time, right? We've gotten this question since we were really little kids, and we had all sorts of fantastical answers. We talked about this actually one time last semester. And we're going to talk more about careers and what sort of things we can look forward to, what sort of things are out there based on our interests. And while I think that it is important to think about what you want to be when you grow up and plan for the future, I think it is infinitely more important to consider who you want to be when you grow up. Because the what you do as far as a job will almost always change and hardly ever be what you thought you might get into starting out. For instance, before I made Advisory and became a
massive YouTube star,
I did all sorts of things. I worked at Jack in the Box for my first job.
do not ask me what goes in the tacos. You don't want to know.
I built fence. I was a guide at the Fort Worth Zoo for a bunch of kid day camps, and we went around the zoo and looked at animals and got to teach them cool stuff about animals. I was an English teacher in middle school and high school for many years. And while all of that was super important and is super important to me as a person, it's not nearly as important as the question of who am I? What kind of person am I? Because in order to answer who do I want to become, you have to first think about who you are right now. What kind of person am I? What makes me me? This question has been plaguing philosophers and thinkers for centuries, and it probably will never get answered. So really what that means is that we have to answer this question for ourselves. And this leads me to this concept of personal identity. This is defined as the concept that you develop about yourself that evolves over the course of your life. And this whole evolves part is really tough for some people to understand. A lot of folks say, hey man, never change.
Hey man, whatever you do, never change.
Always stay the same.
Which is not good for anybody. Of course, who you are can change over time. Many of you met me when I looked like this, when my hair was this long, and I was making all these videos, and that is who you knew Mr. Hall to be. And when I cut my hair, people said, I don't even know who you are anymore.
Who are you and what have you done with Mr. Hall?
Did my hair define who I was? No, but was it a part of how people knew me and how I saw myself? Yes. Like, what kind of person was I when I was born and a young child, when I hardly knew anything and I was completely reliant on my environment to shape who I was? And how did that change and grow as I grew up and went to high school and graduated? And how does that compare to me now? Technically, all three of these people are the same guy, and yet I have changed drastically. Not only have I grown up physically, but I've learned more, I've had more experiences, my beliefs have changed, my thoughts have changed, how I think has changed. So really figuring out who you are and answering this question, who am I, is a question that has to be answered throughout your life multiple times. You are going to change over time. And so how do we answer this question, who am I, while all those changes are going on? When it comes to answering that question, these are some of the factors that make up your personal identity. These are not all of them, but there are a few. Your personal identity comes from your habits, it comes from your values, the experiences that you have, the beliefs that you hold, the emotions that you feel. The physical features, while not the most important, still play a role in how we view ourselves and how others view us. Your interests, your goals, the culture that you grew up in, the dreams that you have, the talents that you have, your personality that of course develops and changes over time, and your environment that also changes and develops over time. All of these things come together to make you who you are. And today, for the rest of Advisory, you're going to spend some time thinking about these questions and reflecting on them yourself. In the next slide, you should see something that is becoming familiar, which is a bit.ly for a document that you will use to write in today. So you need your phone, preferably your computer, and you'll need to go to bit.ly/129 who am I. In Espanol, bit.ly/129 quién soy. You will click make a copy, and you'll see these reflection questions right here. You can write on any or all of these, but I want you to spend some time thinking about these questions. Number 1 is, who are the people in your life that have had the most influence on you and why? Number 2, what are some of your most important memories? Number 3 asks, what are your best qualities? What do you like about yourself? This is not always easy for us to do. We don't typically like to brag on ourselves or really think about what makes us great, but it's important to do that. It's only by realizing your own good qualities and talents and positive things that you can think about this next question, which is ways in which you would like to grow as a person. Maybe there's something about yourself that you want to change over time or that you want to work to change over time. And try to make these things not superficial, not like, I like my nose, I like my face. Think about personality, think about who you are, not just what you look like. And the last question is the umbrella question over the whole thing, which is, who do you want to be when you grow up? You talked a little bit about this yesterday. Hopefully you've had time to think about it today. So go ahead and go to this next slide, open up this document, and I want you to spend some time really personally reflecting on these things. And if there's time at the end, I want you and your class to discuss this question, which is, what are some of the qualities of the people that you admire, look up to, or enjoy being around? What are some of the things about these people that make them so much fun or good to be around? What are the things about them that make them so admirable? And then once you make that list, you look at it and think, oh, maybe I can try to be some of these things. Maybe I am already some of these things. I hope you enjoy this reflection. That's all for me for today. Be good to yourself and others, and I'll see you real soon.